Hello, Ken, and how about those Michigan State Spartans? Before I get into it too much, remember to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell. I do greatly appreciate it. But yeah, how about that game? The Michigan State Spartans defeating the Miami Hurricanes, and a big win. Wasn't just a close one. I was predicting a 3-point win for the Michigan State Spartans, and I think what I meant to say was a 3-score win, not just 3 points. No, but seriously, it was a great game for Michigan State, and I'm going to first go through some pointers and some thoughts I had on why I think Michigan State is good and why being on the hype train is a natural reaction, and then why I think that maybe we should take a step back and really evaluate where the Spartans might actually be at. First things first, things that I saw that were good. Michigan State was again the more disciplined team. They played a cleaner game, had less penalties, and stayed home and just did their assignments. And you saw the clear difference between a team that does that and a team does not. Miami was the exact opposite. They were very sloppy, didn't stay home, didn't do their assignments, and got burned on multiple occasions. So if you needed a clear difference on where the teams were at as far as that's concerned, I think there was no more obvious game so far this season than this one. Let's start with the quarterback, Peyton Thorne. I thought he had a great game. I really like where he's at right now. He's making great decisions. His confidence is at an all-time high. His chemistry with Reed is really strong. Obviously, they've been playing football together for a long time. But mostly, I like his poise in the pocket. He got hit, actually, early and often in this one, and he did not get rattled. He stayed in the pocket. He went through his progressions. You know, he stayed poised in the pocket, and there's a lot to be said for that. And he made great decisions with the football. 4 touchdown passes, no turnovers. You're going to win a lot of games doing that. Keep the ball in your hands. Don't give it to the other team. Don't give them opportunities to get points on you, and good things are going to happen. A good example of him keeping his poise and not getting rattled was the Naylor touchdown late in the game. That was probably his third or fourth read progression because it was on the backside of the play. He started out looking left, which is where I think they had trips or a double receiver and a tight end, whatever it was over there. I don't remember now off the top of my head, but that was where most of the receivers were, so he started looking that way. And as the play developed, he eventually went backside because Miami had shifted everybody to the other side of the field. So he went backside to Naylor, who put a beautiful double move on the corner that was supposed to be covering him and burned him. And Peyton Thorne went through his progressions, found him, threw a great pass, and it's a touchdown. That play, in my opinion, does not happen if Peyton Thorne does not keep his poise and he starts to get rattled, if he starts to feel rushed, if he starts to panic a little bit and feel like he needs to get out of the pocket. That play doesn't happen anymore. So I thought it was a great job from him in remaining confident, not just in himself, but in his teammates, and keeping his poise to be able to make plays like that. It would have been so easy for him to get rattled and start to feel like that clock has to be faster, like he's got to get the ball out sooner, or he's got to tuck the ball and run sooner. And if you lose that patience in the pocket, then big plays like that don't happen anymore. So great job by him. I really like where he is at. Wide receivers, really like where they're at. Reed is going to be seeing the most receptions this year. I think that's pretty obvious. Mosley's going to throw in a few receptions for first downs here and there, and Naylor's going to be your big play guy, who may not get more than maybe 3 receptions per game, but those 3 receptions are going to be monster ones. He's a vertical threat. It's just that Reed and Thorne have such good chemistry together because they've played so long together that Thorne has a tendency to favor Reed a bit, and that's always going to be, I think, his most comfortable and most confident option. So that's why he will see more targets than most, I think. He's also a really good wide receiver, so that never hurts. But yeah, that's how I think is going to shake out. But overall, I thought the wide receivers played really great game. Won a lot of their one-on-one matchups, and when you can do that, that's going to really help out your quarterback and set up your passing game to be successful. Running backs, running backs are doing what running backs are doing. Another great game for Kenneth Walker. I think he should be starting to get some Heisman hype. I think that's legitimate. I think everything you've seen from him is not a fluke or based on, maybe poor teams. He really does have great vision. He's a strong runner. You saw he doesn't quite have the top end speed as some other backs around the country, as the Miami defense was able to run him down, and he didn't have those big runs like he's had in the first 2 games. So that it gave you a good sign of where his top end speed is versus some of the other athletes that are on some of these other teams. But that's not to say that I'm taking anything away from him. I still think he's a phenomenal running back, and you don't need top end speed. You don't need to be the fastest guy on the field every time you play to be successful as a running back. And I think Kenneth Walker shows that. And I think the Heisman hype should be legitimate. I think everything you've seen from him has shown that he is a truly talented player. And the other guys that are backing him up have been doing a good job of filling in spot duty. Obviously, Kenneth Walker is going to get the majority of the carries in most games, and rightfully so. But I thought that the other backs are doing a pretty good job in spot duty as well. Offensive line did a good job in run blocking. A little worrisome in the pass blocking. They continue to have what I think are miscommunication issues or not diagnosing the blitz. And Miami was able to get home a few times. Also, the tackles struggled a little bit with Miami's speed on the edges. So a little bit of concern there. Thorne did get hit early and often. Late in the game, for some reason, Miami didn't blitz as much, and that really helped Michigan State out. But early on, especially, Michigan State really struggled the offensive line struggled in pass protection. So something to keep an eye on moving forward. But overall, another strong day for the Hog Mollies up front. Defensively, lots of good things. Xavier Henderson is a heck of a playmaker in the defensive secondary. He's a great safety. I really like the way he plays the game. He's a very smart football player, athletic, makes great interceptions, highlight reel interceptions, and a very solid player. I think he's the highlight of that defense. The defensive line played really well. Regardless of what Manny Diaz might say, they did not get owned, not by any stretch of the imagination. They were able to get a couple sacks on King. They were able to flush him out of the pocket on numerous occasions, and Michigan State really held up well against the run. So much so that Miami felt the need to abandon it and have King throw the ball 49 or 59? I don't have the stats up in front of me right now, but a lot. He threw the ball way more than he should be. But yeah, really good job up front. Linebackers were quiet but solid. I didn't really see him getting burned a whole lot, but they also didn't really flash much playmaking ability, which is fine. As long as you're going to do your job and do it well, then I'm not really concerned about them being big playmakers. Corners were a little up and down. They got burned quite a bit early on just on some simple hitch routes. I know they were playing really conservative because of Miami's speed. But on the flip side of that, the corner has to understand if you're playing back and they throw a hitch, when you charge down to make that tackle, you've got to slow down right before you meet the receiver and break down, shuffle your feet, get ready to make the tackle. You can't just go flying in there out of control. I don't know how many times Rambo just stepped around that corner because he came at him out of control. And so Rambo just went around him and turned a 5-yard gain into a 30-yard gain. So just something that the young corners are going to have to learn. But overall, a solid performance from the defense. Only gave up 17 points. So those are all the reasons why I feel like the hype train is real and why it's deserved. That I think the praise that's being heaped on the Michigan State Spartans right now is deserved. They're a disciplined team. They're playing well as a group. They've bought into Mel Tucker's philosophies and system. And the play calling on both sides of the ball have been really good. I really like what the offensive and defense coordinators are doing. I do not have any issues with their play calling. I feel like they do a good job of mixing it up and being unpredictable, not getting into too many patterns. So all good signs there. So let's get into reasons why maybe we should take a step back and preach a little bit of caution moving forward. Michigan State hasn't really played anybody great to this point. Yes, I know Miami was ranked, but should they have been? I mean, this is a team that got blown out by Alabama and almost lost to Appalachian State before running into Michigan State. De'Aaron King is a great athlete, and I think he gets a lot of praise for that, but he's not really a great quarterback. I think you saw why Dana Holgorsen, when he took over the Houston job and wanted to install the air raid defense, basically told Derek King, you can't be and will never be my quarterback. He's not that great of a quarterback. He is a good athlete. He's a very good athlete, and he's fast, and that can hurt you. But his ability to read defenses is not good. He does not throw a good ball. A lot of wounded ducks. It's never really a tight spiral. And he does. He stares down his wide receivers, and that's never a good thing. So there was a reason why Dana Holgorsen took over at Houston. Derek King, who was the clear starter there, never even got a chance at that job. Dana Holgorsen knew coming in that that was not a guy that could run an air raid style offense and throw the ball a lot. I think that showed. Other reasons Michigan State should be concerned. I felt like most of the reason why Miami struggled in that game and what really sealed the deal for the Michigan States was because Miami kept shooting themselves in the foot. And it was more of Miami imploding than it was anything Michigan State was doing to make them look bad. Miami kind of did it to themselves a little bit. Understand that I'm not trying to take away from Michigan State in this game. I felt like the Spartans played a really great game. I really do. I'm just trying to offer some devil's advocate here and say why I think that maybe projecting the Michigan State Spartans as the Big Ten champions is maybe putting the cart in front of the horse a little bit. Miami really killed themselves with penalties, just ran themselves out of position, passed the ball carrier, didn't stay home, really just played awful, sloppy football, and weren't very good fundamentally, and that'll kill you. Now, credit to Michigan State because they are the opposite of all those things. They have played very solid fundamental football and have played pretty clean. They did have quite a few penalties, but the officiating crew was just calling everything, which is why the game took forever. But I won't go off on a tangent on the officiating, I promise. I'll just say that it was bad, and they not necessarily geared bad towards one team or the other. Just that I felt like they threw too many flags on both sides, on both teams. It was just too much, and half of them I felt like were just unnecessary and didn't need to be called. So that's all I'll say about that. But Miami really killed themselves, especially late in the game. And killed a lot of their drives. Dropped balls. They had a touchdown that could have changed things. That was just dropped, so they were just sloppy. Manny Diaz, I don't think, will be the coach at Miami by the end of the year. I find it unlikely that he holds on to his job because Miami looks like a hot mess right now, and that falls on the coach. Like I said, it was a lot of fundamentals. I don't know how many times Miami would miss a tackle. A guy would get there, and Michigan State would just run through the tackle like Miami guy wasn't even trying. So just really sloppy football. Other concerns for Michigan State, the offensive line and pass protection. Can Peyton Thorne, against a better, more disciplined pass rushing team, can Peyton Thorne hold up if he's getting hit that often? How's he going to respond when he's got that pressure in his face all game? Can Michigan State clean it up? I think they can. I think it's a communication issue. I don't feel like they were just getting beat from a talent standpoint. They just weren't diagnosing where the blitz was coming from and then shifting their blocking scheme to account to pick up the blitz. So it certainly can be fixed, and I expect it will be as the year goes on. So that's a good thing. A little bit of a good and bad there. The corners showed that against some more talented receivers, perhaps there's an issue there. Especially if Michigan State's going to continue to play soft on the edges. I expect teams in the future to exploit that way better than Miami did. Miami's play calling was pretty terrible, in my opinion. The screen game was there pretty much any time they wanted it because Michigan State had their corners playing so far off the ball, especially early in the game. They just never did it. I don't know if it's just not a part of their offense, but that could be an issue moving forward. So just some minor concerns, maybe some reasons to take a step back and really think, well, yes, Michigan State looks really good, but they haven't really been tested yet. Another concern for Michigan State is depth. If you start getting injuries, especially at certain key positions, I think that could really cause a problem and really derail their season. So hopefully that does not happen. I think an injury at quarterback would be really bad. I think an injury on the offensive line to any of the starters would be... I know they're a little banged up already, and maybe that's part of their communication problems, but get too banged up in the front on offense would be bad. Little banged up at linebacker. You know, your starters at linebacker are already doing a good job of being where they're supposed to be, but not flashing any playmaking ability. So I can't imagine losing any of those guys and having to put in backups would be a good thing. Yeah, just some concerns there. I think Mel Tucker did a good job in the transfer portal, but I don't think the talent is there yet. Some work to be done on the recruiting trail, which Mel Tucker is doing a good job of addressing currently. He's got a highly rated class, and that should fix some of those depth issues. But for this season, especially with Peyton Thorne getting hit as often as he did against Miami, hopefully he does not get hurt, because that would be a costly blow to Michigan State as well. So some good and bad. I wanted to play a little bit of devil's advocate. I know I've been riding the hype train lately, and I do want to stay on the hype train, but also felt the need to address some of the concerns before the hype train really leaves the planet. Just some things to watch for moving forward. So that's my take on the my take on the game. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Hit that notification bell, and remember, all love all the time. Peace.